Okay, guys, we're live and we're going to get started with Dr. Bill. So, if I can get you guys to have a seat, please, that would be great. First of all, Happy New Year. Thanks for coming to the very first.
And the Year of the Rabbit.
And the Year of the Rabbit, yes. Thank you for coming to the very first Silicon Valley Senior Roundtable of 2023. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're going to be discussing, introduce Dr. Bill, then we're going to hand it over to him. So when we scheduled to have Dr. Bill talk about COVID, this was several months ago, we thought it'd be a nice retrospective on what happened in the last 2 years. Boy, were we wrong, because it ain't going away, is it? So we'll have Dr. Bill tell us more about what's going on. Let me introduce, for those of you who haven't known, Dr. Bill Buchholz is a medical oncologist and was educated at Harvard University and Stanford Medical School. He's been practicing in the Los Altos area from 1978 until 2014 when he retired, which actually he's not retired, but okay, we'll let him talk about that.
Not shy either.
No, he's not. Since then, he has continued to lecture to professional and lay groups about advanced care planning and End-of-Life Options Act, physician-aided dying, and conducted workshops to help people, before they become patients, have more control over the medical care they receive when they're facing potentially mortal illnesses. And Dr. Bill has done a ton of research on COVID. In fact, it's changing all the time. So he's going to give us the up-to-date on what's going on. After he speaks, there'll be a bit of time for questions. Then after that, I'm afraid he's going to have to skedaddle. So get your questions ready. Bill, over to you.
Wesley mentioned that I have another engagement. Can anybody guess what that might be? I'll save the suspense. It's my granddaughter's 4th birthday at our house with lots of guests. So that's why I may not be able to stay as long as I would like. How many people have a mask with them? Maybe I should ask how many people don't, if you're willing to. Where do you keep your mask? Do you carry it with you all the time? Because I've forgotten the mask and had to go back to my car often enough that I've made a policy is I just put it in my front pocket and then it's always there. And there's a reason that I do this. And I will explain some of that today. The title of this is, "This ain't your old familiar virus, is it?" And that's really the nature of what I want to tell you about. First of all, you don't have to take notes because I sent you my entire talk electronically, including the graph and so forth. So the real things that I want to talk about is what can we do about the nature of the current reality. Does anybody know about the tri-pandemic? No, it's not try it, but the. So what is the tri-pandemic?
RSV, flu, and then COVID. RSV, flu, and COVID.
Bingo. I have had everything but the flu, and I want you to know that RSV kicked my butt, and it was worse than any of the very almost trivial times that I had COVID. So in the handout, I've got most of the information that you may want. For example, what is the means of transmission? What is the treatment? And because this will be interesting to you and to your clients, because if you know for example, that RSV is spread on surfaces. And if you touch a surface and then go up to your eyes to check your eye makeup or whatever mucous membrane you're going to do, then you may be uncomfortable for several weeks. And so it's senseless for me to try and give you facts that are already written down. So please look at that. But the real facts of this is, do you know that viruses act a lot like human beings? No, they don't drive a Tesla. But they also are based upon the virus surviving. And so what do you think would be needed for a virus to survive?
A host.
Please?
A host.
A host. Does this mean you're giving a party or a shower? Yes, you are giving a party. And what do you want to do if it's really going to be a great party? You want your guests to stick around. Well, that's one of the things that the viruses have to deal with, because if they kill people, which they have done in the beginning in 2020, with that frequency, I forget how many millions of Americans have died, then they can't spread. The variants are really now the issue. The original SARS-2 19, I think, COVID-19, is antigenically kind of obsolete. Now, why would that happen? I mean, people don't get obsolete unless you're a senior, and then people say you're obsolete. And how many people have seen that happen in their practices, in their dealing with their clients? But the virus multiplies, and it is not very careful. And so on many of the multiplications of the virus, errors are made. And what do you think is the largest number of errors? The ones that you don't see, because those do not increase the survival of the virus. So all that we see really are the successful viruses. The data on that handout was from December 31st, 2022. In 2 weeks, that data has changed. So at the end of the year, COVID cases were increasing in the United States and California. The rate increased week to week with a moderate increasing trend since mid-November. Before New Year's, cases in Santa Clara County were diminishing. And there was a substantial rate decrease week to week in the previous month. Now we have an update, and if people are really interested in getting the update on viruses, a very good friend of mine sends out a newsletter with more data than you could possibly swim through. But at least it's a way of finding out what's current here and internationally. So the data now for January 14th is Santa Clara is now